to present her fifth consecutive budget and her last full budget before the 2024 general elections. What we do know already from the economic survey, which was presented yesterday, is that India is projected to grow at 6.5% in FY 23-24. That's compared with the 7% this fiscal and the 8.7% in 21-22. Sure, with 6.5% growth, India will still be one of the fastest growing major economies in the world. But the question really is, what today in the budget will the finance minister do in terms of balancing fiscal prudence and, on the other hand, stimulating investment, stimulating consumption with the ultimate goal of spurring growth? We're going to have the India Inc. perspective on this. Dr. BVR Mohan Reddy, Founder, Chairman and Director, Cyient Limited. Tarun Soni, Vice Chairman and Managing Director, Triveni Engineering. Thank you very much for joining us on BQ Prime. We've got, 10-15 minutes to go, so let's make this rapid. Dr. Reddy, your expectations from the finance minister from the budget. And when I say expectations, I'm trying to distinguish between what is ideal and what is likely.
But I won't get to the big picture. Let me get to the areas where I work with right now. Number one is that, we're claiming that at this point of time, India will probably get to a $5 trillion budget in about 2 to 3 years from now, which means that, the 6.5 will probably climb to about 7% to 8%. And our biggest asset in this nation is people. With 1.4 billion people, that's the biggest asset we have. So therefore, I'm expecting a greater focus on education in this budget this time. From a number which is more like about 2.4% or 3.1%, somewhere in between that is where the education spend is right now. We have to increase it. And we have ambitions. We have already laid out policies in NEP 2020 to say we'll probably go and spend as much as 6%. So my expectation is that will change, because interventions are required not in one level of education, but starting from the preschool education, where we had the Anganwadi system, or you look at the secondary level education, secondary level of schooling, where we don't have some of the villages don't have schools within even 15-kilometer radius. Or you look at the challenges that we have in higher education. So one of the things that my expectation from the budget right now is education. The second one is that at this point of time, what's happening is that the technology has become all pervasive. Technology is galloping. The acceleration has never been experienced by mankind so far. So in this environment, the opportunities are plenty. So therefore, there's certain interventions that are required by the government. And I think the interface between government and industry, or the academia and the industry, has to improve in this nation. So one of the suggestions I have is that we should create a council which will look after the interface between industry and academia to see that this technology becomes applied as opposed to just remain as research itself.
Okay, points well made. Some of them idealistic. We're constantly balancing between what would be perfect and what is likely. And I think fiscal prudence is a theme that is probably going to play out in this budget. And it sounds counterintuitive when this is the last full budget before the general elections. So, populism could play a card as well. I'm covering lots of different threads of expectations, Tarun. I'm going to leave it with a very simple question to you. If you had to prioritize the India Inc. sentiment ahead of this budget, which kicks off in a few minutes, what is that expectation or that priority list?
So lovely to be on your show, Manvi. Let me start off by saying that I'm going to cover areas that are directly relevant to me. I think that this budget is going to cast a wide net. I think promotion of farm income and rural income will play a central theme in this budget. And the second area where I have great expectations is with respect to sustainability. Because I think that this budget is not just about the next year, but about casting a plan that is wider, that is of a longer duration. Now, let me talk about some certain specifics. If we look at the compressed biogas sector, I think this is something that has been covered by the Satat scheme, etc. It has met with limited success. Frankly speaking, the 5,000 pilot projects that were envisaged by the MOPNG, it's been slow to start up. The CII has asked for interest subvention. with respect to the capital deployment in the sector. But I want to actually highlight 2 or 3 areas where we could see some wins, and certainly areas that could be covered in this budget. The first one is guaranteed offtakes
Okay.
of the biogas and of the very, very potent and powerful liquid fertilizer, which is not covered by any government scheme at this particular point, the guaranteed offtake of that. And the third point in that, with respect to CBG, would be an enhancement of the base price of the gas. This really supports farm incomes. And as we have decentralized networks of gas, gas used in transportation, gas used in domestic households, etc., the applicability is absolutely awesome. Another equally important area is the ethanol story. Now, that actually has multiple layers and levels. It's received great focus by the BJP government since its inception. We have achieved massive strides. Over the last few months, the biggest achievement was over 10% ethanol blending 4 months before it was scheduled. That's a huge feather in the cap of the government. And therefore, I see going forward that we're going to see a plan on 20% blending. Hopefully, we will see fiscal stimulus, not just for the price of petrol that is blended with 20% ethanol, but also for flex fuel cars, also for engine manufacturers that are bridging this gap of the consumer and of the manufacturing sectors and the oil marketing companies right in between. That's on one sector. And then I think from a futuristic perspective, my expectation is second generation ethanol, which has direct relationships with farm waste collection, which we all know, especially those of us who live in New Delhi, this is a huge problem for large portions of the year. And the aggregation of that, the incentivization of that to the farmer and to industry to be able to actually create sustainable business models is something that I expect from this budget.
Interesting how you've connected the dots between, a rural focus, a sustainability slant, and businesses that you understand very well from your portfolio.